Hey everyone, Miss Copera here. Please find a photo of someone that you care about. Remember that the human form is a collection of the human body is a collection of 3D forms. When you're approaching the human body, you want to go ahead and you want to always draw those ellipses. This head is actually 2 ellipses on top of each other. When those ellipses intersect, kind of like a Venn diagram, you could go ahead, you could draw those really lightly. Where they intersect, that's going to be where your eyes are. So I'm going to do my upside down rainbows. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to work in those pupils just like we did in class. Now I'm not going to stick in one area for the longest time. The nose is actually a sphere, it's a circle. So you will see in this video how different line weights and different ellipses actually can build up a human figure. So when you're drawing the face, the lips are kind of halfway down. And the chin is also an ellipse. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shrink this chin. I'm going to have it a little higher than normal because this is the face of a boy. This is the face of my son. And then I'll go ahead and I'll begin to just carve things in. When you draw, you should think of drawing as kind of carving. You really should think of it as carving out things and never stay somewhere for too long. Now also think about light. I just press down harder because I want to really show that this area of the cloth is coming forward, right? And I can go in and I can add hatching to go ahead and give it details. Maybe I will eventually put a shadow in right here. I can kind of like paint it in right there because the cloth is actually blocking out the light. So when you're drawing, you're actually, making adjustments. Now, as I look closer, I realize, you know what? I think this eye should be a little bit farther forward in, right? I think it's a little too far away from the nose. So what you do is you kind of always stop when you draw and you make adjustments and you move things around. And then you just keep going. You keep moving around the page. Now you always want to not only just draw the form. Right here we have 2 spheres on top of each other, which is making a skull. You don't just draw the form, you also draw the space around the form. And by getting the shape that where the head isn't correct, then the head starts to come forward in space. Okay? Now you can spend your whole life working on drawing people, and that in itself is just great, right? Like we have artists that work on portraits all the time. I'm shading in the nose. I'm shading in a shadow underneath the nose. And then I see my highlight like we did in class. And I'm not going to shade where my highlight is, but I'm putting those pupils in and then really darkening my rainbow over the eye. And I'm just going to put some hatching in. But I'm not going to obsess over the face for too long. Again, when you are drawing, time yourself for 30 minutes. Now, the forehead is big, but normally foreheads don't look very big because we have bangs that kind of come across our foreheads, right? I'm going to put some shading in, and then I'm going to keep moving around the page and kind of just lightly, ever so lightly, that's why we practice going dark to light. I'm going to change how I shade. I'm really looking at the clothes, and I'm asking myself, where are the darks? Where are the lights? We need to have a conversation with ourselves when we draw, when we paint, always thinking in terms of value, lights and darks. How light is something? How dark is something? And then go ahead, swing around. When you are drawing your photograph of your person that you care about, I want you to always be looking at the photograph. Don't look down at, don't like get lost in the drawing and keep thinking like, oh, this doesn't look right. This doesn't look like the actual person. Avoid doing that. Okay, pencil to the side. What I'm doing now is, yes, the background isn't completely a dark value, but I really want my figure to come forward in space and I want it to kind of pop out. So I'm going to shade in with my pencil at the side. I'm going to shade in all of that empty space. I want you to get in the habit of doing that with watercolor or pencil. Just give a background. When you're doing anything, give a background to your form as soon as you possibly can, right? And then you make sure that the background isn't rough. Go ahead and you can put your finger to the side and blend that background as much as you want. Okay, so blending, rotating, blending, always changing the direction of my pencil. Okay, fabulous. Maybe blending it a little, but I don't want to over blend these clothes in the front because the hatching and the cross hatching gives my viewer the impression that Jacob, my viewer, my subject, is actually sitting closer than he is. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to shade this space around here. I'm not going to give too much value, too much line weight underneath the eyes because the light is coming in and hitting his face. But we do have shadow once again underneath the eyelids. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep blending. Really light with things. Don't darken the face too much. You're slowly getting darker. When you're doing hair, shade the value of the hair. And maybe you want to take up your eraser and pull some of that value up. Shade the value of your hair, but don't obsess with doing a million little lines. You know, just kind of try to get it right and keep moving around the space. You know, and you kind of slowly make adjustments. Okay, I see that the lips are going out a little. I see a little bit of a smirk in his face. And then I'm seeing that this is coming a little bit farther forward. And the whole time you're talking to yourself, I'm going to pull this in, right? And you're having a conversation. And you're measuring, like, okay, so this cheekbone actually comes out the farthest. And you're thinking, the entire time you're thinking, but you're not overthinking in the sense that you're going to give up, right? You're kind of just having fun, timing yourself for 30 minutes, making changes, adjustments. I don't want my viewer to look right here underneath the chin too much. So I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to kind of blend that a little. Maybe I'll bring it up later with an eraser. I'm going to blend the hair a little bit, and then I'm going to keep going. Now, you could spend forever trying to master drawing cloth. It is hard, but just think about shading the shadows underneath the cloth. Again, there is no such thing as too much line. Now, as far as hatching and ellipses, even though I don't see actual lines in the photograph, if I go in and I give myself little ellipses, little curved hatches, that helps my viewer to understand that the clothing is curved. All right, so that was a quick, very fast drawing, right? Time yourself when you're doing gesture drawing. Don't obsess. Don't worry about it being perfect, okay? And obviously don't use your big sketch paper because you want your bigger project paper for something else. And I'm realizing that this shoulder is way farther up. So I'm going to, and you can draw with your eraser, like pull up your eraser and pull stuff away. And then I'm realizing that his shoulders actually stop here. And it's a good sign if you can't stop drawing, right? You're kind of like, oh, this is so interesting. You don't want to stop, right? And then the zipper. I mean, this looks so interesting. The zipper kind of goes down this way and that way, right? And then a couple of reminders. The eyes are in the middle, right, of the head. And yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll end there. I'm going to add a little bit more detail. I want to come back to this drawing someday, but you know what? You're not going to finish every drawing in your sketchbook. You're not going to be in love with every drawing in your sketchbook. Some of them you're going to hate, but never pull anything out of your sketchbook and post everything to Seesaw, because everything shows growth. And as long as you're showing growth, you're going to get an A. And as long as you're commenting and lifting each other up, you're going to get an A. So that's the start. I don't think it really looks like him, but it looks like a person, right? And you can present this drawing as like a secondary project to your heart map project. Instead of presenting a new heart map project, you could present a drawing of a person that you care about. For me, it's Mr. Jacob. Thank you for tuning in.